A lot of people actually move towards blue-white-red Delver, bug Delver, which we see Ben Sturtz playing. It's actually kind of hard to say which one's the best, but they're all good.
They all have their different merits. You know, Nimble Mongoose definitely comes with certain incentives. There's some decks that really struggle to answer it. It's a little bit leaner. I think Rug Delver is the best of the Delver strategies against opposing combo decks because it's so fast and has a lot of counter spells. The Bug Delver decks are a little bit better at interacting with permanents, particularly because of Abrupt Decay. So they're a little less susceptible to things like Counterbalance. And in the mirror match, instead of having Lightning Bolt against Tarmogoyf, which often doesn't work, you have Abrupt Decay against Tarmogoyf, which is much better.
And it's Patrick's Invitational card to start things off here for Peter Tragos. I know who you're rooting for.
Yep. Gotta take a quick look at Ben's list. I see no copies of Gataxian Probe, so I now have a horse in the race. Let's go, Peter.
Gataxian Probe here from Tragos is going to reveal Brainstorm Wasteland. Wow, actually, okay, because we got Brainstorm Wasteland, Misty Rainforest, Double Daze, and Abrupt Decay. So the jig is up. I think Tragos knows exactly what his opponent's playing now.
Yep.
Knows to play around multiple dazes, too.
I wonder if that information will end up being pertinent.
I knew you were going to say that. You are predictable.
Although with Brainstorm and shuffling effects, it's less clear what that hand's ultimately going to look like in a couple turns.
You know, it sounds like to me, somebody needs another probe.
Oh, yeah.
That's all.
Yeah.
Get some more information.
We need it down the line, too.
Yeah, Tragos has 2 of those in his deck. Going to play a Flooded Strand here. And just pass the turn back. Over to Sturtz, who will take a draw. It's a Stifle. Does not know about that.
Ooh.
That could get ugly. Sturtz just going to play a land. That's the turn back. Bug Delver decks, not all of them have Stifle either, so real edge here for Sturtz.
Yeah, it comes and goes. He's playing 3 copies in his main deck.
Yeah. Some people love it, some people hate it. Stifle is definitely a love-hate card for a lot of people.
Yes.
The camp is always split on if you should be playing this card or not.
I am, as a rule, in the hate camp, but I do understand its merits. In some metagames, it's quite powerful.
Hater in the house.
Hater in the house.
Tropical Island going to come down here for Tragos. Just going to pass the turn back. Patience is certainly important right now. Delver of Secrets to draw here for Sturtz. He's going to play a Wasteland here. He's probably a little scared of Stifle as well.
It's at least on his mind, certainly.
Yeah. Has to imagine he's playing against that type of deck. Now you take a look here at Tragos' deck list. No Stifles here. So we'll see if Sturtz continues to try to play around this the best that he can. We're going to actually start here. He says, all right, enough is enough. Misty Rainforest Sacrifice. Is this okay? Goes down to 19. Let's go with Searching.
And the presence of Stifle in Legacy makes what would otherwise be pretty simple sequences much more complicated because that threat is always looming when your opponent's playing blue.
You know where I want Stifle? In the Magic Online Cube. Just get me one of those there. Stories you get to tell if you stifle someone in Cube, that would be a delight.
What are you trying to stifle? Is anything
Who
beyond
knows?
Oh, sure.
Who knows? That's the best part. Something could just come up like an Avenger of Zendikar trigger or something. Who knows?
Oh, sure.
Delver of Secret's going to come down here for Sturtz off of a Underground Sea. That's going to resolve.
And Ben's got a hand really well situated to play a mana denial game here.
Yeah, he really does.
All these dazes and the Wasteland and the Stifle.
Yep. It's a beautiful, beautiful game here for Ben. As long as that Delver can stay alive, he's got those dazes. He's got the Wasteland at the ready, too. You know, he's a little cautious to pull the trigger on it, looks like. Because, again, it looks like he's scared of Stifle.
Yeah, he's mindful as well.
Both these players sitting at 4-1 right now, round 6 of 9 here in Cincinnati. This is a Scalding Tarn. Going to sacrifice Flooded Strand, see if this is okay. Tragos going to wait patiently and see if that resolves. Sturtz is going to sacrifice Misty Rainforest, so that'll be okay. All right. Again, Tragos no Stifles in his deck, but he's doing a pretty nice job of kind of like bluffing the fact that he might have them.
Yes.
Gonna get a Tropical Island.
But the cat's out of the bag now. I mean, if you didn't stifle this, then
Maybe I just don't have one in my hand.
well, you're not thinking about anything then, because you don't have it.
Sure.
You're not saving it for a rainy day. You know what I mean?
I can do better. Probably gonna see Sturtz fire off this Stifle now, I would imagine. No guarantee of that, of course, but seems like a pretty good spot to pick, and there is a Stifle on that Flooded Strand.
I can't imagine the Stifle getting much better.
Yeah. Tragos going to take a look at his hand. Wonder if this is worth fighting over the counterspell like a Spell Pierce or something like that. How badly does he need these lands is the question. Certainly giving it a lot of thought.
His hand seems pretty land heavy, but being set back the land drop is pretty rough in light of all the dazes he's aware of.
Now he's going to try to sacrifice this, and obviously that's going to work because Wasteland's the only thing available, so Scalding Tarn will get the search out of land. It's a Volcanic Island. I think both players know what they're up against now.
Yep. No more secrets.
Nope. You're a Bug Delver, I'm Rug Delver. Let's get to work now. No more jockeying for position. Let's play some Magic. After Tragos does shuffle up here, we'll see what he wants to follow up with. Again, he knows that Sturtz has 2 copies of Daze in his hand, along with a Brainstorm, so he's got to work his way around those cards. And this is a Chain Lightning.
I like this. Slow and steady.
And not even going to fight over it. So there goes the Delver Secrets. I think Tragos' plan here is certainly to make those Dazes as bad as he possibly can. Which sounds obvious, but it is difficult to do.
Yeah. I mean, he has to map out several turns in advance. You do have to wonder if Ben would have been better served just firing off that Wasteland.
Yeah. There's backup Delver. Now he's going to fire off the Wasteland on the red source. Again, got those Dazes at the ready along with that Brainstorm. Going to see if he can actually use this Delver to get the job done.
And it's not like Rogue Delver is flush with removal spells for an opposing Delver. There's 4 bolts. I mean, Peter has some Chain Lightnings in his list.
Yeah, 2 this weekend. More than I think, more than normal. Normally you see 4 bolts and then 1 of something, a Chain or a Forked Bolt or something like that. So to see 6 ways to get that thing off of the table is actually a little bit different, as Tragos is going to sacrifice a Flooded Strand and go get a Volcanic Island here.
Curious to see if Peter wants to bolt here, if Ben is willing to use both the Dazes to try to protect his Delver.
And again, Tragos is going to do his very best to play around those Dazes. It's a little game inside of a game here. And just lead spells into him. Now he's just going to sacrifice in the main phase just to make sure that he gets his land. We're passing the turn back over to Sturtz. Delver trigger on the stack. Any responses from either player? Tragos going to take a look at his graveyard here.
Reordering, or
there's an Abrupt Decay. So that will flip. Abrupt Decay is the top card. Sturtz will draw that. That'll be able to take care of a Tarmogoyf for a Delver. And now we come across for 3. There's a Bolt. And again, not going to fight over this at all. Will Sturtz. There's a Brainstorm.
if he was intending on brainstorming, I would have at least brainstormed in response.
See True Nemesis, along with a Deathrite Shaman and a Tropical Island. Any particular reason?
Maybe you find something that makes it so you want to fight.
Okay.
If you're just going to go into main phase 2 and brainstorm, you might as well brainstorm right up front.
He was definitely very sure of himself that if a bolt's targeting this, it's dying.
Sure.
So I see where you're coming from. It's like, well, maybe you pick up some piece of information that you didn't have beforehand. Maybe it changes your decision.
I mean, Ben has several copies of Spell Pierce in his deck, so that definitely, if he finds that off the brainstorm, that could easily change the equation. Not for sure, but there's definitely a chance.
Brainstorm going to resolve there. Tropical Island going to be the land for the turn, so not a fetch land. It's just a Deathrite Shaman. Before passing the turn back over to Tragos, who's going to take a draw here. See a Wasteland in his hand, pick the Force of Will for the turn. See what Peter wants to do on this turn. Both players been fighting over mana a decent amount, been treading very, very carefully.
Yeah, I think slowing the pace of the game down considerably is the fact that Peter knows a lot of the contents of Ben's hand, and Ben knows that Peter knows a lot of the contents of his hand. So players are working with a lot more complete information than they normally would be.
Bolt going after Deathrite Shaman. Looks like we're going to add a little bit of mana here. Maybe a little Daze War. I saw Sturtz add some mana off that Underground Sea. Maybe he thinks this is the card I care more about. Yeah, here's a Daze. Be very surprised if we don't pay for this one, but I think I know where this is going too. Because there's a True Nemesis for Sturtz kind of hanging out. You see Tragos going to pay one.
Curious.
Take a draw, Will Sturtz. Going to play this. A little bit of a strange play. Now here's True Nemesis with a little bit of Daze protection, but this is a Force of Will, removing a Brainstorm. So that's gone. I'm trying to make sense of that Daze play, though.
Yeah, I'm not sure what compelled him to do that.
So Tragos going to draw a card here. Pretty big flooded strand now. He knows about a Daze that's over there. He can go for True Nemesis. He's going to sacrifice this right now.
The coast is relatively clear.
Yeah, I mean, again, he knows about one Daze that's over there, and if it's a Daze plus Forcible situation, that's Sturtz's entire hand. But actually, he knows both cards. I take it back. He knows the other card's Abrupt Decay. Yeah, so the coast is very clear. And you see he's just going to sacrifice right now. And I think the plan here is to actually use the 2 Trops and Volcanic to play the True Name.
Take out the Underground.
Yeah, Wasteland the Underground and move forward. This has been really good sequencing from Peter.
Yep.
And once True Name gets into play, it's not exactly going to get out of play.
Yeah, there's no copies of Liliana in that deck, so it's just in.
So there is the Nemesis, which is kind of what these two players honestly have been battling over the entire time. You see he's going to pay the 1, which is, I think dazing is appropriate there, just so you can keep your Underground Sea.
Yeah, he can keep it in his hand until he finds a black spell that he wants to cast.
Yeah, I think that's really, really important. He's not even going to play it out here. But Tragos has done the most important thing here, is that he has resolved True Nemesis, and he gets to go to work with that thing. It's just a 1-of in his rug deck, and he found it. Cross for 3 we go.
Well, he's done a great job of just leading the game up until this spot. I mean, once he was armed with the information of Ben's hand, he's played the game in such a way to play around everything very effectively.
Been very, very patient and has been number 32 on our leaderboard as a Tarmogoyf was picked up there from Sturtz. See what he wants to do with that. And Tragos does have a Force of Will plus a Brainstorm in his hand. We could have a little fight over the Tarmogoyf. Not sure exactly how much the Tarmogoyf matters right now, though, because True Nemesis can just take care of it. Sturtz going to actually play the Underground Sea. And there is Tarmogoyf. I wonder if he wants to counter this.
I think so. I think he suspects Ben has so few live draws at this point, and now the Wasteland can hit the Underground Sea. This seems really attractive to me. Just cut him off a black, 5-turn clock, going to 4 turns off of your turn. Pretty tough to imagine losing from that spot.
So it's tough to throw away a Brainstorm though.
Maybe
not for you.
Don't get hung up on the text box. Yep, I like it.
And there's a Force on the Tarmogoyf. Tragos going to go down to 12. Sturtz started to play his land. Going to fire off the Wasteland there. Will Peter take a draw? Gataxian Probe. He already knows the card in his hand, which is Abrupt Decay. There is a mystery card over there, so I guess we'll figure out what that is. Yep. Second Abrupt Decay. Fair enough. Those are basically textless right now. There's a Ponder. Look at him go. We are chaining away. You see him tap here the Volcanic as opposed to Tropical in case he finds a Nimble Mongoose.
Yes.
Yeah, which is very important. Going to leave that on top. Take that card to the grip. Just going to pass the turn back, Will Peter. Sturtz going to draw a card. That's a Ponder of his own. This is Spell Pierce. He could have taken Delver that turn. He chose not to.
Yes.
He could have taken Delver and then flipped it, obviously. Now he kept Spell Pierce, counters a Ponder that was top decked by Sturtz. Really nice sequencing there. Now the follow-up here is the Delver. Actually, it's a Brainstorm. I take it back. I know there's a Delver in there, though. Now there's a Nimble Mongoose. Wow. Tragos, I love the way he's playing this game.
He is really, this has been great to watch.
Yeah, I love it. He's looking at Nimble Mongoose. I think a Delver in there as well, and then a Spell Pierce. Trying to figure out exactly what card to take, as he does have to put 2 of those back.
I think I like taking the Delver here because the only way that, if he draws, let's say he draws a black mana to do something about this, then it means your Delver flips, or rather your true name's uncontested for another turn.
Sure.
It's all the same, basically. He's way far ahead.
Delver Secrets comes off the top here for Sturtz. Tragos able to attack pretty easily here. And looks like that might be the one misstep of the game where he meant to attack with the Nimble Mongoose and he didn't. That's honestly it. But now he gets to present lethal this turn, so it's not a huge mistake of what has been a very well-played game, honestly.
Yeah, True Name Nemesis has a way of rectifying these sort of problems.
Yeah. Sturtz is going to draw his card. He's going to pack it in. Peter Tragos is going to win game number 1 here over Ben Sturtz. Rug Delver up a game over Bug Delver. A very, very well-played game by the player on the right.
Yep.
We'll take a look at sideboards here. You've got Sturtz in front of you. What do you see?
Surgical Extraction, Grabtaker's Cage, Pithy Needle, 2 Fluster Storms, 2 Disfigures, an Umazawa's Jitte, a Golgari Charm, an Arcane Laboratory, a Toxic Deluge, a Crozan Grip, a Vendilion Click, a Maelstrom Pulse, and a Force of Will. I think he's going to want to probably bring in the 2 copies of Flusterstorm, a lot of cheap spells that you want to be fighting over. The rest of this stuff, I'm not really sure. It's possible that Ben's going to go to some of his 1 toughness hate, like, for example, his copy of Golgari Charm, but Peter really only has the 1 copy. It just happened to come up in that game. And some cards like Maelstrom Pulse, not that that card's bad, it's just not that efficient. And you always have to be worried about getting locked out of mana when you're playing against Rogue Delver, so there's only so many expensive cards you really want to be bringing in.
Other side, we've got 3 Pyroblast, 2 Grafdigger's Cage, 2 Ancient Tomb, 3 Rough and Tumbles, an additional True Nemesis. You can believe that's coming in. 2 Flusterstorms and 2 copies of Submerge. Godlike Submerge, too, here.
Yeah, Submerge is great. Yeah, great tempo play, and in response to a fetch lane can also be used to just permanently remove something.
I think I like Pyroblast. I don't know how many you're supposed to bring in. I don't know if 3 is appropriate, but I definitely like it. And then, the rest of these cards are okay. I don't think Grudge is going to play a huge role. Rough and Tumble, not so much. Cage, not so much. Flusterstorm, no. I think it's 2 Submerge, a True Nemesis, and some number of Pyroblast.
Yeah.
I don't know what you really board out. I'm no Rug Delver master. I would be slicing a little bit here, I guess. But, maybe you board out Dazes. But
Daze still feels pretty good to me.
Maybe you board out Gataxian Probe.
Ooh. No.
It could just be anything. Just give me a little shave that one.
No.
What's that information matter? It didn't help him last game.
It only allowed him to navigate the entire game perfectly.
Yeah. So? It's no big deal.
Yeah, no big deal.
If you guys are just joining us at home, Cedric Phillips, Patrick Sullivan, StarCityGames.com Open Series here in Cincinnati, Ohio. My home state. Good to be home. Mm-hmm. Not exactly home, but still feels like home.
I'm going home in a couple weeks for that Open.
I know, for Jersey.
Yep.
Who are you there with? It's not me.
Matthias.
Okay, gotcha. Should be fun.
Yes. Staying the week after. Gonna hang out with
folks.
folks.
Oh, boy, here we go. You and your Jersey love.
Oh, yeah, it's going to be awesome.
I know how this works. You can't just go and leave, can you?
No.
You always stay like a week after every time you go to Jersey. You just love it.
I need to recharge the batteries,
Is that what going home does?
Yes.
I went home earlier this week. I couldn't wait to get out of there.
No, I love it back home.
Cleveland, it has a way of wanting me to leave.
Do you have nieces and nephews?
I do.
Okay.
I do.
Are they in Cleveland?
Yeah, but I didn't see them.
Okay.
I saw my parents for a couple of days, and then I got out of Dodge. Mostly because when I go home, my parents just badger me to do things for them. Mm-hmm. And after, the 3rd day of that, I can't take it anymore. I love my parents, but you can get your own glass of water.
Right.
Come on. Come on. Dad, Mom, you're not that old yet.
There was this one point where, I had moved out of the house, and so had my brother and my sister, and my dad called me up. And he's like, listen, your mom's having this really tough time. It's the first time that Christmas is rolling around and all of our kids are out of the house. I think it would mean a lot, if you just came over and stayed the night and just kind of hung out.
Okay.
And this was at a time where a relationship with me and my folks wasn't the best.
Sure.
So it's a pretty big request, but I went and we hung out and, watched a movie together, and I stayed over, and then I woke up early the next morning to my dad telling me to put Christmas lights on.
Yeah. It's all a big ploy.
It's just all a big trap.
Yeah, it's obviously what it is. Yep. My parents were really happy to see me, and all of a sudden, my dad forgot to put something in the mailbox, and I have to drive to the post office. Yeah, okay. Yeah. All right, Dad. Yep. I see what's going on here.
Yep.
After the 3rd day, I'm buying Donato's pizza all of a sudden. I guess I owe him. Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty in debt to the parents, but it's all a big trap. It's all a big trap. I suppose one day.
I am in debt to my parents, but I do not like being reminded of this fact.
Yeah. How about you? Can you run to the post office for me? Could you go mow the lawn? I had to mow the lawn while I was at home. I actually kind of missed it. Mowing the lawn was fun. Fun fact about me, my dad made me mow the lawn 1.5 times a week when I was in high school.
Oh, we had a similar ratio.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Wow. I didn't know we could bond over that.
Yeah.
The running joke in high school for me of many was that during the winter I had to shovel the lawn and then mow it. So, which may or may not have happened.
But the short story is I'm really excited about going home, catching up with the folks, my sister's kids, going to Atlantic City and,
doing whatever it is you do there.
Not suitable for the broadcast. It's going to be really fun. It's going to be really fun.
I've actually never been to Atlantic City. I only know of what you tell me.
It's basically like with Las Vegas with no pretense. It's not like, we'll go see a show and have this good time. It's like, no, you're going down there to do things that you can't do in other places. That's the only reason you go down there.
All right, gamble it is.
Or whatever.
Yeah, whatever it is they do in the AC.
Or whatever.
Yeah. Tragos and Sturtz. Sturtz will be on the play here in game number 2. Looks like both players may be keeping their hands. Sturtz doesn't look too thrilled. He's got 2 brainstorms, Spell Pierce as well. It looks like he may only have 1 land in his hand, though. And it is just 1. That's a Misty Rainforest. See what Lanny wants to search up here. Of course, these Bug and Rug Delver decks, no basics. They open themselves up to Wasteland pretty badly.
And they're both land-light decks with 4 copies of Wasteland themselves. So often these games are, I refer to them as the Stone Rain Mirror. Usually one person, or sometimes the games go into a place where one player is just incapacitated.
Deathrite Shaman here. Tragos is going to take his turn in just a moment. Maybe we have some sort of forceful battle over this, maybe not.
It looks like Peter's armed with multiple copies of Lightning Bolt. So I think
at least 1.
I think he's going to try to handle it that way.
Yeah. At least 1. See him search for a volcanic island right away. Probably fire this off in the face of like a Daze-esque effect. Just because killing Deathrite's so important.
There's no incentive to wait. Because you're going to want to kill this thing before Ben gets to his first main phase, no matter what. So he doesn't make mana off of it, so just go ahead and don't get tricky.
That thing's dead. Looks like a Verdant Catacombs came rolling off the top there for Sturtz. Pretty timely, as again, I think he only had 1 land. Now, that being said, he did have brainstorms and things of that nature, but makes things much easier when he just draws a land. And now he can just pass the turn back and set up a really nice brainstorm.
He may also just be trying to wait here in an attempt to stifle a fetch land. I often see stifle players elect not to make plays on the early turns because the upside of stifling is so large.
Looks like Delver's good to go. Tragos without another land. So Sturtz will take a draw. If he finds a Wasteland here, things get ugly too. Umazawashite the draw. And now Sturtz is going to play a Brainstorm. So let's go 3 cards deeper, it looks like. I suppose Tragos could fight over this if he'd like.
Takes a lot of guts to pull the trigger on Force of Will here.
Yeah. Tragos 2 copies of Submerge in his hand. You do see the Force of Will over there. Nimble Mongoose, Lightning Bolt as well.
It's possible because Peter has missed a land drop that the risk of Ben finding a Wasteland here is just too high.
He fought over it. Brainstorm is that powerful of a card. You see Sturtz does have a copy of Spell Pierce in his hand. He could go sacrifice the fetch land, search for a blue mana, and Spell Pierce his Force of Will. That's what I think we're going to see here, Patrick.
Well, Peter was willing to fight over it. Usually that means you should be willing to fight back.
Yeah. Tropical Island will be the one that Sturtz does search for, which makes sense in the abstract. However, now that Submerge is turned on in Peter's hand. And let's not forget as well, Peter actually did remove a Submerge to cast this Force of Will. So Sturtz may be thinking, maybe he doesn't know. Maybe he doesn't have another one.
You forced a will. Don't act like you're thinking about dazing it right now.
Yeah, if you have a daze, you're dazing it.
Yep.
All right, Brainstorm going to resolve. Picks up another copy of Brainstorm. Let's add a Dark Confidant and a Daze to the grip. Pretty good hand here for Ben if he can get out ahead a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, he does very much need to draw another source of mana here. If Peter's able to find a Wasteland, he's a little bit behind the gun, but he's got a lot of resources to work with right now. You see Charm of Goyf being set back here. Dark Confidant as well. Peter really needs to find a green source of mana next turn to start casting the cards in his hand, or a Wasteland would also be fine.
Yeah. All of those things are acceptable, that's for sure. Tragos, no flip on that Delver.
I'm sure he will happily accept a Scalding Tarn, however.
Yeah. Just an attack here for 1. There is the Tarn. He's going to sacrifice that. Probably going to go get the old Tropical Island. And we do know he has Nibble Mongoose to cast.
I believe Tarmogoyf as well. If he's willing to cast that into a potential daze, that's a big question.
That's a bit of a risk, obviously.
And arguably, his Nimble Mongoose is a little bit more stable of a threat because of Abrupt Decays and other various targeted removal spells that Ben he could have sideboarded in.
Yep. There's the Goose. And it looks to be loose. Tragos going to pass it back to Sturtz, who will untap. He will take a draw. Dark Confidant on the draw. Again, it was not a perfect brainstorm here for Ben. No fetch land to go along with it, so he knows the cards that are coming.
And it's a big risk for him to cast one of his brainstorms here trying to find a third land because it's his whole turn if he misses.
Looks like he may try, though.
He's got nothing else to do. I mean, he's got his 2-mana creatures in his hand, a Stifle, some cantrips, so... If he misses again, he is brainstorm locked and has spent his whole turn. If he hits, though, especially if he hits a fetch land, the upside is huge.
Looks like he's going to play it a little bit safer here and just go with Tarmogoyf. See if this resolves. Looks like it's going to. I'm going to check the graveyard, see exactly how large that thing is. We'll get our Tarmogoyf die for you guys at home. See exactly how big the Lurigoyf is. Looks to be a 3/4 right now. As Tragos is going to untap, we got a Delver Trigger on the stack. It's going to show us a Lightning Bolt.
And I think someone's getting hit with a Submerge this turn.
Chances are. Maybe a little more patient. We have seen Tragos has been very, very patient.
That's true.
I expected him to get maybe a little bit more aggressive as well, but he's been very patient in the games that we have watched. Sturtz is going to draw a card here as soon as that was Jite.
I'm just thinking with 2 bolts in hand, it seems really attractive to just hit for 4 that turn.
Absolutely.
Maybe he wants to wait until he actually has Threshold for his 1 hit because the Nimble Mongoose is going to get checked by the Tarmogoyf for the foreseeable future. Mm-hmm. So if he only gets 1 shot out of it, maybe it makes sense to just wait until he has Threshold so he gets an additional hit for 3.
Brainstorm's going to draw a Ponder, a Delver of Secrets, and a Tropical Island. No fetch land.
But a Ponder and a 3rd land, so not all bad.
A couple of cards are going to go back. Stifle seems like one of the weaker cards right now. You see it looks like he may be putting back the Jite as well. Dark Confidant kind of hanging out over there. It's a pretty important brainstorm, so while it was resolved quickly, Sturtz does seem pretty sure of himself.
But no removal spell.
Yeah, no decay yet. So that Delver is kind of just running rampant. Starts with a Delver of his own now, though. And there that is. You see Tragos looking in the hand of Tarmogoyf, double Lightning Bolt and a Submerge. Lightning Bolt, get that thing out of here. Tragos has no interest in letting that card flip because he has to believe that it's going to, because Brainstorm just resolved, as Peter will draw a card.
Although Peter could have theoretically gotten really aggressive that turn by, say, bolting him, untapping, submerging the Tarmogoyf, which ensures that the Delver doesn't flip, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Just doesn't seem to fit his play style.
Yeah, he's been very patient here. And I'm not saying that I'm correct. I'm just saying that I can't help the instinct to just...
Your Lightning Bolts go upstairs. I know where they go. True Name Nemesis, Deathrite Shaman.
Now, to Peter's credit, the fact that he still has the Submerge in his hand is an incredible insurance policy over anything going haywire here. The fact that Ben has a Jite in his hand, which he may spend an entire turn using at some point, makes it even nicer that he still has that.
So Ponder looks like it's going to resolve here.
And keep in mind, he has Lightning Bolt. He has 5 cards in graveyard right now, so casting a Lightning Bolt and then casting Submerge gets him to Threshold, so he can also get a huge hit in that way.
You have to imagine, too, in this particular game, just with the way it's going, that Submerge is going to come as a surprise to Sturtz, because one was already removed to Force of Will. There's Deathrite Shaman. Tragos, where are we going with this one? Says, get Deathrite Shaman out of the way. I know, Patrick, I know.
Trust me, I get it. I'm not saying I don't get it. But I can feel him getting into range. You know, you knock him down to 8, you submerge him. He goes to 2. You have another bolt in your hand.
Yeah.
He might be on chump blocking duty.
What do we have here? Sturtz not sure how he feels about this. Definitely valuing the Death Ray Shaman very highly. All right, there that goes. Bolt number 3 resolves. He has bolt number 4 in the grip. Tragos draws a card.
Ooh, Wasteland. That is nasty.
Peter allowed to play this now, which will allow him to cast Tarmogoyf. He's going to say, how about submerge that? Aggressive, happy? We're getting in there.
I mean, if he had gone upstairs with the bolt, he would be attacking for lethal or forcing the Death Ray to chump block.
Yeah.
I guess it's the same thing either way. You give Ben the ability to potentially mess up.
The free side of Submerged Tarmogoyf, that's what you get to draw next turn. Threshold, engage. Doesn't have to worry about a card like Abrupt Decay right now, so coming across for 6, Will Tragos. Sturtz is going to go down to 5, going to follow this up here with the Tarmogoyf. Can't afford to pay days, which is a delight.
The Tarmogoyf on top of Ben's deck is going to offer no reprieve here.
Tragos has been patient and has played well.
Yes, for sure.
Wasteland was a very, very good draw for him, but he gave him plenty of time to. He gave himself plenty of time to draw to it.
And if you go back, you know, there was the second turn of the game where Ben elected not to cast Tarmogoyf and instead held up Stifle. And how different does that game look if this Tarmogoyf is in play starting on turn 2?
Much different. Gonna fire off a Wasteland here. I would have liked to see the Wasteland get fired off on his upkeep, I think.
It's all the same, right?
Well, no, because if he fires the Wasteland off on his upkeep, then he has 1 less mana to operate with on his turn.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry, you're correct.
And here's a Brainstorm.
And it's possible that Ben just brainstorms at the end of the turn, and then you get to take it out for free at that point.
Now that's going to do it. Doesn't find anything with the Brainstorm. And he's going to send the hand. Peter Tragos with a very, very well-played game. Number 2 on our Season 2 leaderboard, making his way through this 9-round Legacy Open. Moves on to 5-1. Rug Delver defeats Bug Delver 2-0.
He showed a lot of expertise that round.
Yep.
I've watched Peter play a few times on camera. That was